Welcome to today's webinar titled Generative AI for School Leaders. My name is Kim Edwards. I'm an ex-teacher, ex-school leader, ex-school board member with over 30 years plus experience working in schools. I'm also a very experienced international baccalaureate lead educator and visible learning consultant, delivering a range of teacher and leadership workshops for both organisations. Now, we have a lot of information to get through today and we will have to move fast. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we'll get back to you as soon as possible after the webinar. So what's today about? Where are we now with AI and where are we going? And then we're going to look at a whole range of really simple, practical examples that you can actually start using tomorrow if you wanted to. Now, I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Mike. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Kim. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Somergy, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at Education Horizons. And I'm excited to put some context around our Gen AI discussion today and give some insight into our thinking here on this key topic as well. You can see on screen Gartner's hype cycle. I think this is a useful model for understanding where we're up to with Gen AI today. We saw the technology trigger last year with the launch of ChatGPT from OpenAI, and I think we're approaching the peak of inflated expectations. This means we are well and truly in the froth and bubble stage, or the hype stage. I know of at least one contrarian commentator who's made this very point, that according to him, we're all getting overly excited about a feature-rich autocomplete. This is probably an extreme view, but there is some truth to it as well. Underlying this view is a deeper idea that over time, all Gen AI models will converge. This means that they'll offer limited new thought and ultimately end up giving everyone similar answers. Again, I don't know that this is entirely true, but it does urge us to be cautious about how we approach this exciting technology. K-12 education is traditionally pretty considered when it comes to new technology adoption. And I think this will help us all navigate the hype and get to the slope of enlightenment and the plateau of productivity in good time. Generally, whenever technology is novel, the foundations tend to change a lot. And this often produces more work for everyone as we try to keep up with the change, and can often lead to disappointment. Instead, what we are looking for is proven technology that's well understood and supported and can scale effectively. And this means carefully picking and choosing what tools we use. So, how do we get to this point? For Education Horizons, it begins with having strong engineering standards and practices. This means we can identify and select the right Gen AI tools to test and potentially incorporate into our products. Initially, we're exploring Gen AI tools alongside our product workflows with no direct integration. These are some of the practical Gen AI use cases that Kim will share in a moment. We've also produced a separate webinar on using Gen AI tools alongside our sector collaborative planning infrastructure to support unit and lesson planning for teachers. The second way we're exploring Gen AI is identifying ways that we can integrate it directly into our products alongside our core workflows. We announced this recently at our quarterly product update. And initially, we are focusing on integrating Gen AI into sector to support lesson planning with unit planning to follow. Keep your eyes open for updates on this very exciting work happening now. All of this work is underpinned by some important core principles. Our most important guiding principle is data security and integrity, making sure we are not exposing any sensitive school or student data to potential harm. Our second core principle is to maintain the correct balance between the humans at the heart of education and these new technologies. In our opinion, Gen AI needs to support deep human relationships and never seek to replace them. Thirdly, at the operational level, we're working with Gen AI ourselves to understand how best to incorporate these tools into our own products and our own workflows as well before we approach any rollout to schools. And finally, we are working closely with key suppliers to make sure we are sticking to our standard of proven, supported, and scalable tools for schools. Essentially, we are working to bypass the hype. Our guiding principles are particularly important in helping us explore the beyond part of our timeline. Ultimately, those of us in the technology space are considering how to evolve Gen AI through deep training on specialist knowledge, in our case, the education space. This is long-term work, and at Education Horizons, we'll be guided every step of the way by deep research into the right ethics and principles. And of course, we will keep a critical focus on security, reliability, and support as we progress. For now, though, we are excited to share with you some practical use cases for Gen AI that you can use today with existing available tools alongside your core EdTech products. And we'll bring you further updates shortly on our work to directly integrate Gen AI into our own products. And with that, I'll hand you back over to Kim for her presentation.
Thanks, Mike. So principals or heads of school, I'm going to use those terms interchangeably. So they have different terms depending on where I go and work around the world. It's the person ultimately responsible for that school. And they have numerous operational, educational, and community leadership responsibilities. And often what they're doing is you're delegating these responsibilities to key members of your leadership team. However, it is that principal or head of school that ensures that these accountabilities are met. Now, we know that school leaders are incredibly time poor, and your list of tasks to be completed each day and week only seems to grow. I always felt that my in tray never, ever got emptied. And I think this quote from AHESA, the Association of Heads of Independent Schools, is really interesting because it showed that one of the greatest reported benefits of generative AI tools for educators was saving time. And for you as school leaders, it's about automating tasks, freeing you up to focus more on that relational, creative, and strategic work that's so fundamental to your roles. Now, a really quick word about security. The AI tools are not accessing your school data. They're working alongside you without the need for complex technical integrations. For example, our choice as a company is to use Microsoft Edge Copilot because of its security benefits, as it provides a level of protection. And what does that mean? It means the AI model will not be taking the information we're inputting into it and using this to train their model. So just something to think about. Now, it's also important that you as school leaders work within your school's policies and procedures in this area. So let's have a look. First of all, I'm coming into the operational area, and on the screen are some examples of the key areas that school leaders are responsible for. And I'm going to focus on two key areas: finance and policy analysis, probably two areas I didn't particularly enjoy at all. Now, imagine you're about to go into a school leadership meeting or executive meeting, and the admissions policy is on the agenda and you haven't had time to review it. So you can see on screen that I'm coming into our Engage system, into documents, and I am downloading the admissions policy. So very quick and simple to do. The next step is the prompt. And we're going to send you all of the prompts that I've used across this webinar at the end of today's webinar, because the one key thing I would suggest to you, and I've certainly learned, is keep your prompts, because then you can keep reusing and adapting. So this is asking it to analyse the school admission policy, what are the shortcomings, areas for improvement, but a really clear expectation that it gives me a detailed, well-organised and comprehensive report. So I'm now coming into Microsoft Edge and I'm placing my prompt into Copilot. Now, you may not be aware, but Copilot can ingest the whole document, or you can open the file in your web browser, which is what I've chosen to do here for this demonstration. So I've got it up here on screen. So it's instantly starting to do this analysis for me. And now I've got the examples here. So it's picked up what is good, but it's saying there needs to be some clear guidelines on criteria, deadlines, communication channels, scholarships, how do you attract students from diverse backgrounds, Suggesting a comprehensive guide for parents might also help here, age criteria clarification, and include a standard application form that clearly communicate those deadlines. So some really good suggestions. And you can see in the time it's taken me to explain this prior to a meeting, you can have done this and you can walk in and sound like you've truly read that admissions policy. Now, the next example is a finance report. And again, you're going to see here, it's a thorough analysis. So what was my task? What's the source document that I'm using here, which is the finance report? And I'm asking it to look at where the gaps, issues, positive aspects, etc. And again, how do I want it? What am I expecting it in terms of what it gives me? Comprehensive, detailed assessment of this finance report. And again, I'm using Microsoft Edge Copilot, which provides a level of protection, as you can see up there on the screen that I've already described. So I've placed the prompt into Copilot. Now, for me, sitting on boards, I found this really difficult. I don't have any finance training, and actually trying to unpack and understand it was a real challenge. But being able to use AI to help now means that you can actually contribute in meetings. And once it's picked up that it was initially going to be a planned surplus. Well, that would have been nice. However, showing that semester 2, there's a deficit of over $654,000, and there's a forecast revenue loss in semester 2. And there's a difference between the actual budgeted full-time equivalent administrative staff and what's actually on staff, and there's got to be some fixed asset write-off. So it's picked up some really interesting information here that can be discussed at the board meeting. Now, we're now going to look at the educational area, which looks at teaching and learning, curriculum, wellbeing, co-curricular. And there's lots of opportunities here to make your life easier as a school leader. Now, 2 key areas are the teacher planner. We're going to look at a student engagement survey, because I know lots of schools are regularly running these. So in this example, I'm using our sector learning management system to access a teacher's unit planner. So imagine they're coming in to meet with you, and you need to have reviewed it, so I can now export it and download it. And now the prompt is a little bit different, similar but different, but this time I really want it to be looking at the learning intentions and success criteria, and you can personalize this. What are the key parts you want it to be examining? And I want it to have a look, are they writing the success criteria at surface deep and transfer levels of learning? And then again, the same issues, gaps, well-structured report. So I've placed the prompt into Copilot, and now it's going to start generating. Now, what I do love about Copilot, it's very similar to Google Maps. It's always incredibly polite, all these AI engines. So it's looking at the learning intentions and success criteria, and it's identified that this success criteria are not well articulated at surface, deep and transfer. Students aren't progressing from basic surface to the deeper comprehension. There's not enough diverse learning strategies to meet the needs of the students, some issues with assessment, and it's recommending it would benefit from more explicit connection to students' prior knowledge to make learning more relevant and engaging for students. So very quick and easy, and it's picked up some really specific examples here. So that's an example of how you can do it to analyse a teacher planner. Now, let's take a look at a student engagement survey. And I'm using the Daybook template in Engage. And the Daybook function provides a customised workflow management system where schools can create unlimited forms. But because you've got all the key student information and staff and parent information, it's very easy to distribute. So I've selected my students. This is the template that I have already set up. So it's simple and easy, and I can reuse it. And now all I have to do is send that form out. My job is done, and it can be then reused. Here is my prompt, but the prompt is exactly the same. The only thing I've changed here is the source document. Now you'll notice in this example, I'm using ChatGPT to get the full analysis of the survey results, including the graphs. Now, quite often you get different results depending on the AI tool you use. So I've placed that prompt into ChatGPT, and now it's saying there's some really positive aspects. There's a high participation rate. Students are feeling safe and supported, which is fantastic. There's lots to celebrate here so far. They're confident in their academic abilities, and they've got positive relationships with teachers. Lots to celebrate. Where are the issues? About a quarter of the students are still struggling with emotional control, and over 32% of the students are not fully engaged and motivated. So that's probably the key thing that it's picked up, and a few students are still struggling handling challenges, etc. So again, very quick and simple to do that analysis. But the key message with this one is that I used a different tool here, and I actually uploaded the document. Now, the final area is this whole strengthening the relationships with your school community. And the key area I'm going to be looking at is building community. And I've actually got 4 examples. Now, the first one is about a survey that's being sent to parents on the quality of teacher feedback that their child is receiving. Writing a newsletter to parents, personally, I really dislike that. It was always a Friday task, and I always left it to the last minute, and it was the last thing I felt like doing. An analysis of a staff wellbeing survey, and there's been an incident and you've got to send an email to a parent. How can it help you write that and do that quickly? So the first one is looking at the quality of the feedback that students are receiving. And you can see basically exactly the same prompt, because I found that this was a good prompt, and I'm just changing the source document. So in this example, I'm using our sector learning management system to deliver the survey to parents about the quality of this teacher feedback that students receive. And so here it is, it's going through the parent portal. It's being created through Microsoft Forms, so it can be endlessly reused here, and you can build up data over time. So you'll notice in this example, again, I'm using ChatGPT to get the full analysis of the survey results, and I've just pulled that survey results in. It will analyze the graphs here. So I've entered in my prompt, and it will start to do that analysis for me. Because when leaders look at survey results, it's fabulous getting them, but it takes time to pull out the key messages. And you can see I've already done that. So there's been a noticeable increase in the frequency of parents accessing the assessment page in the parent portal from 22 to 23. Some parents are still not accessing it, and some have some technical issues here. But there has been an increase in the number of parents saying that the feedback regularly informs them about their child's progress, and there's been an improvement in the timeliness of the feedback going out and how relevant it is and to the point. However, there is one key area. There's much greater room for the feedback to be much more specific and clearer in terms of what the child needs to do to improve. So making it much more specific here. So again, very quickly has it analysed that information. Now, writing something for the school newsletter. So in this example, totally different to analysis, I'm giving it a web link, and I'm going to use a Facebook link. Now, lots of schools are running, they might be multiple sites, but if it's a public-facing website, then you can insert that link and tell it what you want it to do. So in this particular one, I'm keeping my newsletter simple, school events, accomplishments, and important updates. Now, first of all, I am going to thank Carey Baptist College in Harrisdale for allowing us to use their Facebook page to show you this. So in this example, I've entered here's my Facebook link, and I'll have the URL. So if you have a marketing team that are actively sharing, well, that's fantastic. So I've added my prompt in here, asking it to do that, and the AI tool is now going to assist me in writing my weekly or monthly newsletter using Microsoft Copilot. So again, very polite. Now it gives me some initial demographics. Obviously, that's not much use here at this point, but some important updates, school assembly, parent-teacher conferences, some information about COVID and welcoming a new staff member, student accomplishments in science and sports achievements, and the thank you, kudos to the coach. And then it outlines some key events coming up and really recommending that parents access this Facebook page for regular updates. So you can just copy that out, paste it into an email or a document, and then modify as you need. Now, in this particular example, the key message here is to look at whatever your current systems are and use those systems to share your surveys with the participants, and then use AI to assist you in the analysis of the results. So for this example, this is a staff wellbeing survey, and I'm seeing lots of schools running these regularly. And they want to send the survey out from our Zunia system because all the staff details are in there. So Zunia is our next generation cloud native system. So I've selected all my staff. You can have all your correspondence templated. Again, here it is. So the link is going out to a Microsoft form, and I can just give it a title and then send it out. So I will be able to generate these at regular intervals. And here is the staff wellbeing survey on the screen, done in Microsoft Forms, etc. And if I come to this part here, now I've got my actual prompt. So the only thing that's changed is my source document. And here are the results. So I'm placing my prompt into Copilot, and I'm asking it to now do that high-level analysis for me. And you'll be able to then, over time, do comparative analyses between different times when you've done it, etc. And it's looking at what is good and where there may be some key issues here. So again, I've already pulled that information out. So probably lower than expected is how they're feeling about work, 67%. So there's room for improvement, but mental health, there's a culture of giving and receiving feedback. That's all really good, etc. They feel supported, but they don't have a great sense of well-being. So notably lower. So some key messages here. All the rest is really positive, but they've got lower scores in celebration and mindfulness practices. So some simple things that could be put in to address what these results are showing you. So AI is also a brilliant tool for school leaders to use to assist you in writing your communications. So for example, this is an example of a school leader needing to send an email to a parent about an incident that happened in school, and they want to explain the next steps based on their school policy, particularly if you've got one that backs you up. So they want an email that's short, clear, summarising the key issues and what the next steps are going to be. It's really your bread and butter. You're doing it regularly across any school day. Now, underneath, I've just put in the additional details. So this is plagiarism, Jason, year 10. The school uses Turnitin. Now, I know millions of schools around the world use Turnitin the plagiarism software. And it's identified that Jason has submitted his brother's report for the same task from the previous year, right? And hasn't gone and actually checked his plagiarism score of 100%. So anyway, he's admitted it, and then some key details about what the academic policy says in this area. So I'm placing the prompt into Copilot. There, I'm just using our sector system here. So there it is, and I've placed it here on the screen for you to have a quick read, and then you can modify it. And now I'm going to use the sector system now to deliver that to the parent. So I can just access the email and send it via email. Alternatively, I can use the direct messaging system that lives within sector. I can paste that in there. I can give it a title. But why would I do this? Because I've got all of the core parent information to be able to send that out. And then there's a record kept of that against Jason's profile. Now, a final word about writing prompts. Microsoft Copilot has some great supporting resources in this area that you may find useful. So my suggestion is Google it, and it's all sitting there for you. Now, a simple process to follow when you write a prompt is to include 4 key parts. So firstly here, what's the task? What's the goal? What do you want to achieve? I want an analysis, but an analysis is, pretty open-ended. Where is the source coming from? Where is this information coming from? So that's my source. And then why do I need this? I need it because I've got concerns that there are issues and gaps and issues that may exist, and I'm really concerned about that. And then for me, the big part is, how do I want the AI tool to respond? What are my expectations for it in terms of its response? So you can see up the top is my simple. That's how I actually initially started 6 months ago, writing really simple prompts down to where it is now. And that's why I strongly recommend you keep your prompts and keep reusing and adapting, and they will continue to improve and improve. Now, I think this quote by Crawford sums it up beautifully. The truth does not reveal itself to idle spectators. Perfectly sums up how AI can assist you as school leaders in managing your incredibly diverse and complex roles and responsibilities. So thank you for joining us today. We hope you found this session useful, and it's provided you with some practical Gen AI use cases that can benefit you as a school leader. Now, of course, please use this as a jumping off point to explore where else you can go. And we'd love to hear from you about your own good ideas and experiences. Now, stay tuned for that cheat sheet that I've mentioned that we'll be sharing with all of you with the prompts that I've used in this session today. And please keep an eye out for the next webinar in our school leadership series in the coming months. Thank you.